Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Spooky Binge-Worthy Books. I'm going to be your host tonight. My name is Mandy. Let's see what the staff has recommended for us to read. So first up, we've got Kaylee, and she is the queen of YA, so we always go to her for all the good YA recommendations, but she also is really good at recommending a good spooky story. So she has recommended House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin Craig, an intriguing story full of ghosts and haunted castles, a creepy retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. Haunting Prince Dracula. I said haunting, but it's hunting. Either way, I would have read it. By Carrie Maniscalco. The perfect creepy castle setting and one of the best and creepiest villain reveals I've ever read. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, the creepiest graphic novel I've ever read, also the best. Perfect for any fan of the Netflix show who wants a little bit of extra creepiness. And finally, she recommends Final Girls by Riley Sager, the perfect book for any slasher movie fan, full of plot twists that you won't see coming. Next up, Miss Lynn Holt. She has recommended Pet Sematary by Stephen King, who is the king of creepy. This book is so scary, burying a deceased loved one in the old pet cemetery to bring them back to life. However, they are not what they were when living. Whew, chills. The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, in a collection of authors' stories. Life is great in the small town. Every year a lottery takes place, and whoever wins is taken to the town common. But why? You don't realize what it is that they are there to do until the very end. And then Charlotte recommends Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. That's the second recommendation of a Riley Sager novel that we've gotten, so we know that that's a good spooky author. Lock Every Door, a real roller coaster ride of terror, ripped out of today's urban fiction. She also recommends Those Who Wish Me Dead, a race to save a young boy from the clutches of cold-hearted killers. A very neat surprise near the end. And then The Ridge by the same author. What is worse, a murder or a suicide? What would you do to survive? Would you make a deal with the devil? Left to Die by Lisa Jackson. First in her Alvarez and Pascoli series. One by one, the victims are carefully captured, toyed with, then subjected to a slow and agonizing death. Piece by piece, his exquisite plan takes shape. The police can't yet see the beauty in his work, but soon, very soon, they will. And finally, House by Frank Peretti. The only way out is through. Can you make it? Whew, I read every one of those in Charlotte's voice. I can tell that she would really enjoy those. I bet you guys would too. Victoria has got some recommendations for us, and Victoria really doesn't like to be scared, so we know these are maybe a little more lighter fare. The Game. It's about a school where the seniors play a game called Assassinations, but it's just a game. Or is it? If you like slasher or suspense films, you will like this. Cold Kiss. After Ren's boyfriend died, she used dark magic to bring him back from the grave. But he is not the same as he was. This book explores grief and death. Thank you for the trigger warnings. And then we've got Treachery of Beautiful Things. Jenny revisits the woods where her brother Tom was taken, resolving to say goodbye at last. Instead, she's lured into the trees where she finds strange and dangerous creatures who seem to consider her the threat. A darkly compelling mix of romance, fairy tale and suspense. And very last, she's got an unkindness of magicians. There is a dark secret that is hiding in the heart of New York City and diminishing the city's magicians' power in this fantasy thriller. It has magician contests and a murder mystery. It's dark, gritty, and really good. Thank you, Victoria. Next up, we've got our recommendations from Bree, Paranormalcy, a fun teen romance with fairy ex-boyfriends and pink rhinestone tasers for chasing supernatural bad guys. A genuinely light and fun read that will make your heart happy. And then she's got The Raven Boys. It's the first in a series of 4, and the story goes strong all the way through to the last book. Full of plot twists, magic, and well-written characters, it's a joyful and tantalizing read, where even the author's style of writing is interesting and deeply satisfying. Worth rereading again and again. I think we know Bree's favorite. And then Miss K has got some awesome recommendations for us. These are 3 great ghost stories by Mary Downing Hahn. She is one of my favorite authors, Miss K's favorite authors. These books are scary and spooky and mysterious, but not over the top terrifying. You will be able to sleep after reading them. She said, great for a read aloud by a fire as the sun goes down. Oh, that sounds great. And it's All the Lovely Bad Ones, The Ghost of Crutchfield Hall, and Time for Andrew. Interesting. Next, we've got Elizabeth, and she recommends The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. The Hazelwood is a modern take on dark fairy tales. Think Brothers Grimm in today's world. The story centers around Alice, granddaughter of a famous recluse author. Famous yet a recluse. Who has made her fortune in the telling of dark fairy tales. Alice and her mother Ella have lived their life, running from bad luck from town to town. This string of bad luck seems to catch up with them when Ella goes missing and Alice discovers there's more to her grandmother's estate, the Hazelwood, than she previously thought. Fun. This sounds like a doozy. Next up, we've got Hannah. Hannah recommends Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is possibly the only spooky book that's given her an actual nightmare, and she's obsessed. It's a graphic novel of fairy tale-inspired horror stories, and the art is beautiful. She also recommends The Motion of Puppets by Keith Donahue. This novel is especially scary, but it's dreamlike. Isn't especially scary. Sorry, she said this novel isn't especially scary, but it's dreamlike and atmospheric, largely set in French Quebec and New England in the fall. The audiobook, read by Bronson Picot, is especially good, and I try to listen to a book read by him every October now because I associate his voice with so strongly with the rustle of fall leaves. Oh, that's nice. And then Cole recommends Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. He said that he liked it because unlike most books nowadays, the plot was not easily predicted and the twists were thrilling as he really did not see it coming. Other than that, it was a relatively easy to read book that was the perfect length to take up some of your time over a few days. Oh, okay. But I also think that it has a Netflix series as well, so that's cool. You could read it and then watch it, or watch it and then read it, however you like. Next up, Teresa recommends anything by Charlene Harris, and every single one of these Titles has dead or death in the title, so I think we know what a lot of them are centered around. um, it also comes this series or collection also has a companion novella, which is interesting. And then Rachel's pick, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This book is a mashup of historical fiction and fantasy that makes it an entirely unique addition to both genres. Clarke has a clockmaker's attention to detail coupled with a vivid imagination. Her interest in historical depictions of madness lend enough eeriness to her world to make Strange and Norrell my spooky pick. If you're looking for more by Clarke, I am currently reading Clarke's second novel, Piranesi? Piranesi? Maybe it's Piranesi. That came out last month, and there is a great BBC miniseries about Strange and Norrell. This book is one of Rachel's all-time favorites and a perfect fall read. And then my picks. So I really like a good, strong female lead or multiple female leads, which is what you get in the Sawkill Girls. Their stories come together on the island of Sawkill Rock, where gleaming horses graze in rolling pastures and cold waves crash against black cliffs, where kids whisper the legends of an insidious monster at parties and around campfires, where girls have been disappearing for decades, stolen away by a ravenous evil no one has dared to fight. Until now. Next, The Diviners by Luba Bray. Evie O'Neill has been exiled from her boring old hometown and shipped off to the bustling streets of New York City. She is positively ecstatic. It's 1926, and New York is filled with speakeasies, Ziegfeld girls, and rakish pickpockets. The only catch is that she has to live with her uncle and his unhealthy obsession with the occult. Evie worries her uncle will discover the darkest secret. She has a supernatural power that has only brought her trouble so far. But when the police find a murdered girl branded with a cryptic symbol and Will is called to the scene, Evie realizes her gift could help catch a serial killer. So I really like that one on audiobook because the phrases that they use in 1926 are a lot different from the ones that they use now, and it's a lot easier to follow the dialogue if someone's reading it to you. Next up, I've got Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Ketterdam is a bustling hub of international trade where anything can be had for the right price, and no one knows that better than criminal prodigy Kaz Brecker. Kaz is offered a chance at a deadly heist that can make him rich beyond his wildest dreams, but he can't pull it off alone. I really like this one because it's not so much spooky, creepy, scary. It's more spooky, creepy mystery. And it's also a heist, so it's got that little bit of suspense. You never know what's going to happen next. And then it's also got some magical realism in there too. So it's a lot of different things that I like to read about. And very last, Sadie by Courtney Summers. A missing girl in a journey of revenge. A missing girl on a journey of revenge. A serial-like podcast following the clues she's left behind and an ending you won't be able to stop talking about. So if you're like me and you like to listen to podcasts, you'll really like this book on audiobook because it really is like a series of individual podcasts where they're following this girl. So like an investigative podcast. It's really cool. I really enjoy it. But it's also really good in book form too. And that is a recommendation from Kaylee. She recommended it to me and now I'm recommending it to you. And that's all I've got for you today. So thank you for joining me for Spooky Binge-Worthy Books. Tip my hat to you if you hung out for the whole time, because I know that was a lot. And I just want to encourage you to read anything that you enjoy. Anything that you enjoy is a good fall read. But I do particularly love a good spooky read in October, and all of these are perfect for that. Also, I want to encourage you to come out to any programs that we have coming up, like maybe Fright Night. We have that coming up on October 30th. So that's Friday, October 30th. It starts at 5:30 and it ends when Hocus Pocus ends. So we are starting at 5:30 out front with Trick or Treat Street. We're going to have tons of games and places where you can get some treats if you say trick or treat, of course. A couple of different people are going to be joining us, like Horton's Gifts and Books, Miss Victoria from Snap Ed, a couple of other people. So come and see who all hangs out with us. And then at 7, as it starts to get darker, we are going to blow up the big screen and watch Hocus Pocus in the side parking lot. So we're going to have some socially distanced parking lots where you can have the whole spot, the whole parking space to your family. So if you want to bring out some lawn chairs or a picnic blanket, you're going to have plenty of space in that parking space to do so, to sit down and hang out, enjoy a snack maybe, and then you're going to have plenty of space between you and the next group of people to hang out and do the same. Come on out and enjoy Fright Night with us on October 30th. And thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Have a good night.